World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. This is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. I hope all is well, and happy Black History Month, even though every month is Black History Month for most of us, and many of you may not know if you have not read my latest column in the Holland Community News, where I talk about my distant cousin Carter Woodson, the father of Black History Month. It's been part of my life as long as I can remember, especially when I was living in the South at my very, very, very young age, and they used to talk about these things. But in many cases, we are now in a situation where they're trying to take Black history out of the books. I just heard that the Air Force has taken out the Tuskegee Airmen information that DEI was not as popular, is not as popular as it was in the past. So we have to do our own DEI. We have to make sure that we start hiring and developing business that would allow for us not to have to rely on anyone else but ourselves, like most other groups do. Well, and speaking of business, there is a lot of opportunity throughout the world for the diaspora as we start to move backwards and forwards, but there's opportunity here if we support each other. The brother that is my guest now is the CEO of the New York City Jewelry Connection, and has pretty much dedicated what he does to create wonderful jewelry focused on HBCUs and black culture, black history, and it's somewhat unique. He has the ability to do all that Pandora can do, but has chosen to make sure it focuses on people of color. So, and his partner, Lucille, who won't be here today, but we'll talk a little bit about her. She is living Black history. She was a craftsperson, made jewelry for all of the major stars, and Michael Jackson, Sammy Davis Jr., and the like. So together, they have a company that I would like for you to learn more about, and to learn more about the people who are behind it. So please welcome my guest for today, Gary Jones, the CEO of New York City Jewelry Connection. Hey, Gary.
Hey, how you doing, Tony?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Okay, Tony, I say every day, anytime I can wake up healthy, I'm doing good.
And you're a young man. The older you get, the more you will realize how true that is.
Right.
But tell the listeners a little bit about who you are, Gary, and what led you to become a principal partner in a jewelry company.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from New York City. I grew up in Harlem, moved up to the Bronx, went to school in Atlanta at Morehouse, and that's where I really got the entrepreneurial spirit. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my older brother had owned a variety store on 123rd Street and 7th Avenue in New York City, and he was a real boss. And his line of thinking was that we don't have to work for anybody else. Okay? We have to stop telling our kids to go to school, get a good education so that they could work for others for like 40, 50 years. So I never subscribed to that line of thinking. And so after Morehouse, I moved over to Maryland and then got involved with Foot Locker's management training program. It was a superior 2-year program. They just didn't hire anybody off the streets. And that's where I learned every aspect of retail management. And then subsequently, I left Morehouse to do my own thing. So I became a business development coordinator for a lot of different companies. And so my thing is business, okay? Because this, like you said earlier in your opening, that there's a whole lot of opportunity out here. And so we have to take advantage of it because all of the other cultures and nationalities, they come to New York, they come to the United States of America because this is the land of opportunity. And so we have to take advantage of it. And so that's where I am. I'm a business development coordinator. I put pieces together and transact business. Doesn't matter what industry it's in.
Yeah, and I remember talking to you, or you telling me about some of the things. Even during COVID, you were able to find a niche to be able to create business opportunities for some of your colleagues and yourself.
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I met this young lady on the plane. I had a client, Council Supply. He was interior building construction materials. And so I was going down to New Orleans to develop a relationship with the government, trying to get him 8A certified. So I got on the plane in North Carolina, and I happened to have sat down with a lady named Kim Brown. Of course, I didn't know her then, but she looked like she was one of the government procurement officers. And so I was like, this is a great opportunity for me because we had an hour and 15-minute flight to New Orleans. And I said one thing, okay, she's going to hear my story for at least for the next hour and 15 minutes. But unfortunately, she was going down to New Orleans for the same reason that I was going down. I had a client, I was going to get him 8A certified. And so, but she had a healthcare business called HBR, Healthcare Business Reps. And that she had just started a couple years prior to that. And then, so we struck up a conversation. And unfortunately, she wasn't the procurement officer. But after that, we became great friends. So about maybe about 30 days later, she had a contact with someone in China doing PPEs. And then she had called me and she asked me, what should she do? And I said, listen, I said, let me ask you a couple of questions. I said, so you have a person that you can source some PPEs from, right? She said, yes. I said, can you call this person at any time? She said, yes. I said, so you have her number right now? She said, yes. She said, yes, what should I do? I said, Kim, call her back. And then that's what led to our partnership. And so we've been coordinating different uh, projects for the last few years. And then a few months after that, she saw kind of work that I could bring to the table. And then her and her daughter brought me into her business. And they made me a partner, and it was a great, fantastic relationship, and I'll never forget it. So we were doing COVID uh, 19 testing, right? And so they didn't have the clinical side of the business. And so they had the other two phases. Okay. But then because of the fact that it was COVID, they needed that side of the business developed. And I was able to come in, establish relationships with laboratories. I was able to find a consultant laboratory that was able to provide us with a clear certification, CLIA certification. Now, only laboratories get that designation because you can't test human specimens without having that designation. So once we were able to get that, then we were able to establish relationships with the laboratories. Manufacturers became a company that distribute antigen kits. Okay, and then after that, we were able to test, do some testing for Greensboro, North Carolina school system. And we was just testing the students who didn't want to become vaccinated, only the athletes. And so we were able to do that. We started testing for Novant hospitals as well. So this was a great collaboration between us three. We hired 52 people in about, I say about 14 days. And then we made it happen. So unfortunately, and or fortunately too, that we got in on the tail end of COVID, and so the contract was going to last until June, but then people start dying from COVID. They just started to get sick, and so the government stopped paying for because they were paying for the laboratories, and the laboratory was paying us. So, but that was the most interesting experience that I had as far as collaborating with another person. That was something that was it was it was fortunate for me that the level of understanding that we had, our collaboration that we had, we were all on the same page. Okay, it was two ladies and myself. So I did pretty well because I was the only man in the group, and so so the relationship still exists today. And so I respect and I admire that.
And you was the right place at the right time and the right plane, huh?
Yes.
Now, you have done a number of things, but you now have another partner who's part of your jewelry business who
Yes.
is kind of like an icon in not only Harlem, but throughout the world based on her ability to design jewelry for stars. Could you talk to us a little about Lou Willard and how you met her?
Yes, yes. And now when COVID was winding down, I started to put this jewelry company together. But back then, of course, I didn't have any type of direction or anything where the company was going to be positioned, how I was
Why
going
did
to.
you use jewelry of all of the?
Well, the thing is this, I met Lou Willard. I was in New York City, and my older brother was a friend of her husband. And I was taking my older brother out to dinner. It was his birthday that day. And so she happened to have called in. And so he was speaking with her, and then he said, listen, he said, hey, my younger brother is in town. He said, why don't you say hello to him? And then he put me on the phone with her. Okay, so of course I didn't know her. And so she and I, we were speaking. And so in that conversation, I found out that she was the jeweler to the stars. Okay, she was in the business for about 50 years. She designed pieces for Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, all of the oldies. And so now in that conversation, now because of the fact that I'm a business development coordinator, my wheels are always spinning about the next opportunity.
The
Okay.
next thing.
So I asked her, I said, Miss Lou, I said, I live in Maryland. I said, I'm from New York. I said, I'm a business development coordinator. I can bring you out of retirement. I said, I can get you some customers and we can, get back in the jewelry business. And so she started laughing because she didn't take me serious. Okay. Her husband, unfortunately, 10 days after that had passed away. He was on his deathbed. And so I didn't reconnect with her until like maybe that June. And so then she put me to the test. And so I was able to fly down to Atlanta. And there was a young lady that, while I was in Morehouse, she was my tutor. She was a math major in Spelman. And so she has a son. He's a YouTuber. He's got like about 1 million followers. And so we started to do some design work for he and his group. And so now, but that process, it had taken us, a couple months to do because we were doing just a custom made pieces. And so that's a little time consuming. Now, but the idea came about to do Black History jewelry, commemorate the Black experience through fine crafted jewelry. I was flew down to Louisville, Kentucky on vacation. And my ex-wife, now she's an industrial engineer. Okay. Now, all of the years that we were together, okay, she never came up with an idea. Okay. She never came up with an idea as to how I should further along a business that I'm already involved in. Okay. Except this one time. We flew down to Louisville, Kentucky. It was a little late. So the next day we had to do all our sightseeing, the Muhammad Ali Museum, the Breonna Taylor mural, the whole 9 yards. Okay? Um, so she had to go before we do anything else. She had to go to Pandora and buy some charms. And so the next day we woke up, and so we got to the mall. It was about 9:59. And the mall opens up at 10 o'clock. So I was like maybe 3 or 4 steps ahead of her. And then she said, Gary, she said, you know what you guys should do about that jewelry? Now, the way that she said that, I know that an idea is coming. So I had a little smirk on my face. I had my hands on my hips, okay, just jokingly, of course. And she said, why don't you guys be different? She said, now you have a talented gemologist and designer. Why don't you guys do commemorative jewelry? Each piece will represent a different historical event. Okay. And so I was floored. I was next to the railing. Okay. I had to stand up because I almost fell off the railing. I'm on the second floor. Okay. And I thought that was a remarkable idea because I never put Pandora and jewelry together for our business. And so the concept is like Pandora. You purchase a bracelet, then you fill it up with charms every so often. But our charms represent Black historical events. And so that was a marvelous idea. And so after the vacation, I called Miss Lou Willard, and I told her verbatim what my ex-wife had told me what we should do. And then from that, then that's where we are now. So that's been like 3.5 years in the making. And so it took us about 3 years to create the foundation, the relationships, the manufacturers. Took us about 3 years for that. And so we're here now. Okay. So we have a relationship with the National Council for Negro Women. We are a vendor for them. We have about 60,000 current members, and then they have maybe almost 1.5 million to 2 million affiliate members. So we are going to be doing some design work for them. Then we are connected with DRIFT, Delta Research Educational Foundation. They are a subsidiary of DREF. They are the 501c3, it's a 501c4, and then they have a 501c7. So the 501c3 is the organization that they do a whole lot of fundraising. And so we are doing some design work for them. And so they are going to have their major event sometime in July. So we've got a whole lot of things planned. I'm going to be flying down to Atlanta on the 26th of this month and speak with Mr. Bob Johnson. He is the CEO of the Atlanta Juneteenth event coordinator. And so we do have a Juneteenth piece that we made. That was our first piece that we made 3.5 years ago. And so we're going to be doing a lot of things with them and the entire organization. And then we hope to be going down to the Essence Festival and doing that. So we're in phase 2. Phase 1 was to put the company together. Phase 2 now is to put this product in front of people's eyes. And so that's what we're on now. So
What
phase
does
two.
the Juneteenth piece look like?
Well, okay, that was our first piece. Now this one happens to be a round piece. It has the Juneteenth symbol inside of it. All of our pieces come in a charm for women.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in a pendant size for women, and then a pendant size for guys. Now, because of Lou Willard, okay, now she did gold, yellow gold, white gold. So all of our pieces can be ordered in yellow gold, white gold, and diamonds. And so, but right now, the preferred metal is high grade sterling silver. These pieces are solid pieces, 925 rhodium plated to prevent rust.
Mm-hmm. I asked that because my birthday is June the 19th, so
Oh wow! Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, well,
that
great. You can go now.
that
Now the
might be a
first,
good precedent. I have somebody because
okay. Now the first piece that we made was the Juneteenth piece. Okay.
June 19th.
So
Yeah.
we did that one in silver, but we also did that one because it was our first piece. We did it in yellow gold, and we got diamonds all around it. Okay,
Well,
so maybe that piece
as
might be
I
for you,
told you, I'm
Tony.
not much of a Blaine guy, but I would be interested. Well, first of all, is there a website where people can see some of this stuff that you?
Oh, yeah, yes, it is, Tony. The website, the reason why we named it this website is number one, we're going to be giving back to the HBCUs. Okay, so the first part of the website is HBCU, and then through my research, of course, I realized that the HBCUs are the largest contributor to our Black middle class, and so now that's amazing. And so we just put those two together. HBCU amazing.com.
HBCUamazing.com.
Yes. And once you're on the website, you can go to the About section, and Miss Lou Willard is giving a 2-minute presentation as to who we are and what we're doing. And then you can see some of the stars that she had designed some pieces for.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lucille Willard is kind of like a very staple name, I should say, in Harlem. She was very close to the wife of Charles Rangel,
Yes.
Percy Sutton. That was a lot of those, women who were very prominent in the Harlem history.
Yes.
Lucille was part of that. I knew her son very well, Richard Willard. He was in technology. We did a couple of conferences together.
Right.
who, and actually I did not know he had passed until
Hmm.
I was able to meet you guys at the Meadowlink
Yes.
Clinic, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute. You know, where we did a video. Matter of fact, if you see ever see a video on the Meadowlink Clinic that Soul City put together,
Hmm.
Jasmine and Matt, the person who I'm with is Lucille Willard. She was
Yes.
there, so she's in that video,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
always look at it. But her son was an extremely smart guy.
Yes, he
He was a
was.
very handsome guy too. You know,
Yeah, model like, yes.
yeah, you know, Richard was an interesting guy, tall,
Yes.
you know, built
Yes.
well, and all of that. That's why I was so
Right.
shocked when I heard he had passed,
Yes.
because he always seemed
Hmm.
like that athletic
Hmm.
type
Right.
of a guy.
Yes.
You know, he reminds me of the Philadelphia quarterback, Jason Hurd.
Right.
So, but
Right.
interesting how life is, because I had known her and she had
Hmm.
actually did a lot of things during Harlem Week. That's, you know, where we came in contact with, because of course being with Percy and
Yes.
Callie Rangel and all of those, she was involved with a lot of the things that was taking place then. So it kind of came full circle.
Yes.
You know, and you know, it's almost like our ancestors were all working together, because I
Hmm.
met you through another
Hmm.
friend, well, Bobby Hunter, who knew your brother,
Yes.
who knew that I had did work was doing work in Ghana, and we got together and went to Ghana. Tell about your experience
Okay.
going to Ghana with me.
Okay, all right. Well, now it was an eye-opening experience. It was a very emotional experience.
Mm,
I had gotten off the plane and going through customs, and young ladies, they checked me in, checked the passport in, and they said, Gary, they told me they said, welcome home. And so that was number one. It was a very emotional moment for me. It was an embarrassing moment for me because this was the first time that I had gone to Africa. I could have gone to Africa, 10, 20, 30 years ago. And so, so unfortunately, I let, these negative thoughts, into my mind. And when I thought about vacation, I just didn't think about going back to Africa. But it hit me in the last 3 years while I was putting together this Black history company in these pieces, that I started to focus a little more on Africa. Okay, and going back there, and so I go on vacation every other year, and so I have a club that we go on vacation with. And so I told them, I said, listen, a few years ago, I said, listen, okay, I'm not going to take no more Caribbean trips. I've maybe been to all of the Caribbean islands in the country, in the world. Okay, so I said the next time I want to go, somewhere, away from the United States, either across the ocean or something. And so the opportunity had come up for us to go to Ghana. And so now, but it was twofold. Number one of the reasons why we went to Ghana is because because of Miss Lou Willard, I'm in the gold bullion business. You know, those gold bars that you see,
mm-hmm.
that gets traded and sold all over the world. And so 10 months ago, I got a call from one of our previous customers, and she had asked me, do I know anyone who purchased gold bars and has a refinery? So I didn't know what she was talking about. And so now I didn't ask Miss Lou first because I didn't think she knew either. Okay. So I asked someone else first, and they didn't have a clue. So I said, okay, well, let me ask Miss Lou. So I called Miss Lou. I said, Miss Lou, I said, do you know any gold bullion buyers? She said, oh gosh, yeah. Okay. And the way she said it was like, no, well, number one, she's known these individuals for more than 45 and 50 years. Okay. She was in the Diamond District for about 50 years. So she grew up with these major well financed buyers. And so then the deal didn't go through with the young lady who asked me. Okay. And so I had learned a lot in those couple months. I started fielding some calls. People started to know that we have buyers in the Diamond District. And then one thing led to another. These transactions weren't going through because the buyer's procedures weren't jiving with the seller's procedures. So then I told Miss Lou, now because I'm business development, right? There's an opportunity. I told her to listen. I said, since we, know where she's getting this from, why don't we go to Ghana and establish our own gold export business? And so then, through our relationships, that's what we have done with the thanks of Tony Rogers, the president of the Harlem Tourism Board. You have boots on the ground down there in Africa. So you make that trip a lot easier for us. And so what we're doing, we're creating a gold export pipeline from Ghana to New York City. In the gold bullion business, the most important person that you want to connect with is the buyer. These buyers that we connect with, we've known them for almost 50 years, 47 years, and 2 years, respectively.
And
So I
Gary,
told
one of
them,
the things for people who may not be aware, because this broadcast goes all
okay,
around, in New York City, there is a diamond district
okay,
that is, you know, a couple of blocks
okay,
in Midtown, New York.
right,
But that couple of blocks, I think it maybe
yes.
about 250 people. Uh,
Yeah, let me give you some numbers. Okay. The Diamond District is on 47th Street and 6th Avenue, between 6th Avenue and 5th Avenue. Okay. The Diamond District, 90 to 95% of the gold and diamonds that enters the United States of America goes through the Diamond District. Each day, they produce about $400 million in revenue every day. $24 billion a year in revenue. Okay, now, so you would think $24 billion, a whole lot of people are producing that type of revenue, and it's not. Okay, you've got 2,600 businesses within that little small area from 6th Avenue to 5th Avenue, and on both sides you got the retail shops, and then you have offices and everything. That's where the real deals are made. And so out of the 2,600 people that produce that will generate that type of revenue, we know three of them. So I told Miss New, I said, listen, I said, we are in a space that many blacks aren't in. Okay, why? Because we know them intimately. We don't have to search for them. We don't have to hope for them and wish for buyers. We have them that we know personally. We need to go down to Ghana, establish relationships with these small scale miners, large scale miners, and develop a pipeline. And so that's what we've done. And so we're in the process now of getting fully credentialed. So we registered the business down there, and it's called Trading Gold World Export. And so in the next couple of months, we are hope to be operating. And so in between, we put together an investor slide deck as well that we're going to be sending out. And this slide deck, this investor slide deck, individuals could invest in our relationship that we have with our buyers. Okay, because in this world, those buyers, you need them. We have them. And so we're developing that export business from Ghana directly to our buyers in the United States. And so a person can come in at a $25,000 level, a $50,000 level, and the percentage that they get starts at 8%, which is paid annually, and every 3 months it gets paid out. So depending on how much money you invest, depends on how much your interest that you're going to get on your own capital. And so we have an investor slide deck that we're going to be sending out. And as a matter of fact, sometime this week, we're going to be hiring a young lady from California. She's already in the gold business. And so I sent her the slide deck last week. And so she was so impressed about it. Okay. She wants to connect with us. She wants to partner with us because she has relationships with people in Silicon Valley and Hollywood. And so we're not looking for millions and millions of dollars. No, we don't need that. Through my relationships with individuals in Ghana and here in the United States, we can get the gold on consignment. We just need to pay all of the taxes and fees to get the gold out of the country here to the United States. And so, so we just right now, the goal is to raise 2 million, but we only really need a few $100,000 to start the process. And so, this business is quite lucrative. People around us we're creating generational wealth, and so we are in position to do that. And unfortunately, we here in the United States, as far as Black Americans are concerned, we're not in those type of positions where we can create that type of wealth. Okay. And fortunately for us, we're in this position to do that. And so we are developing close relationships with the people who are around us to do that. So we're
And
not
Gary,
athletes.
one of the things that I just want to interject, though,
Okay.
what is important is that uh, my contacts and relationships in Ghana
Okay.
were basically in the north. And when
Yes.
people go to Ghana, they usually go to Accra, but they
Yes.
very rarely go to Tamale.
Yes.
And a lot of the gold is in the north, and
Right.
that's one of the reasons why a lot of people weren't there. And what the reason why you received such a warm welcome
Mm-hmm.
is that we present a way to do things that had not been done before, because
Yes.
the Chinese have come. They're probably one of the major entities that are in the north. And
Yes.
as you know, we were meeting with miners who
Yes.
had the gold, but they couldn't get it out the ground. So the
Right.
Chinese would uh, uh, make a deal where they would bring in the equipment, get it out, and
Yes.
only give them 10% of
Yes.
what they got out.
Right.
So
Right.
your ideas of creating a change, which is something that you're a younger guy, Miss Lloyd and I would say we'll watch you do a
Okay.
lot of these
Okay.
things,
Okay.
but to over a period of time is to organize many of the families. We went to places that are villages that just do mining,
Right.
the kids and everything that just do the
Right.
mining, and to bring them together. So you bring the opportunity for
Yes.
us to go full circle, to be able to bring, because in the north is more rural. Most people,
Yes.
even in Accra, as you know, most people never went to Tamale.
Right.
It's only
Right.
so there's a lot about Tamale as relates to they were the fierce fighters. The
Yes.
Portuguese and the Ashanti, they
Yes.
couldn't get the. So when things started, they were forgotten, the North.
Yes.
The development, everything went to Accra because as the
Mm-hmm.
colonizers, since they couldn't go there, they didn't do anything. They didn't
Right.
send any money. They didn't do anything.
Right.
So the opportunity to be able to develop, and as you know, and as you saw, especially with your business mind, there's so many opportunities.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I was laughing at Gary because every time we would turn around, he says, "Hey, we can do this here, and we can do that there."
Right.
We
Right.
can do that.
Right.
But
Right.
it's for me to be able to bring people like you to Ghana is like coming full circle because it allows for us, and there are many other opportunities that, based on you and based on what you're doing, and
Yeah.
I should say we, uh, other people will be able to use you as an example as to how this can be done.
Yes.
And that's the important thing. And someone just asked, we're going again to Ghana as far as a group in December.
Okay.
And next week, actually, on the show, I'm going to have Tango and some other
Oh, really?
people, and maybe even His Majesty
Okay.
Jinapon the second,
Okay. Wow. Okay.
on the show to talk about Ghana and some of the things that we're
Okay.
doing, and there's some marketing stuff that's going out.
Okay.
But I have to commend you and Miss Lou for the work that you have done,
Okay.
and the things that we are doing internationally, as well as we're going to start doing some things in Harlem.
Okay.
Black History Month.
Right.
We have this.
Right.
We have to kind of start looking at some of the museums, the
Right.
Studio Museum, and
Right.
there's a Civil Rights Museum that's coming up.
Excuse me, Tony. Could I take a 5-second break? I gotta plug this. I'm sorry. I gotta plug the
That's all right.
computer
You
in.
can come
One
back.
second. One second.
Come back. And what I can do is just to talk a little bit more about our trip in December. And if you want to get more information, you can always send an email to urbanologysystems@gmail.com, or the Harlem Tourism Board, which is one of the of this festival that we're going to, the Cultural Oneness Festival. But if you're interested, we'll have a special show dedicated to that on the last Tuesday in Black History Month. It was appropriate to talk to people from
Okay.
Africa. We'll have some chiefs and some other people who can allow for you
Right.
to understand what it's like to be there. But
Okay.
so you're back.
Yes, and I apologize about
That's
that.
quite all right. Gary, can you describe? I know we have the website, but
Okay.
can you describe some of the things that you're doing for the Delta?
Okay. Now the Delta has 3 different divisions. The Delta sororities. You have the 501c3, 501c4, and the 501c7. So the 501c3 is called Delta Research Educational Foundation. They do a lot of the fundraising arm for that organization and the other two. And so what we're in the design phase for them right now. So of course we do Black history pieces, but we also do pieces to commemorate in organizational milestones. And so this is what they want us to do. So their organization got started in 1967. And so we just combining their logo, putting another touch on it, and then putting 1967 on it. And so this is going to be sold throughout their platform. This is a piece that's is exclusive to their organization. And so another thing that we're doing, we're creating a 10-piece collectible charm bracelet series for them. Okay. So in other words, they'll purchase one piece, okay, and then the next few months they'll have another event, and then we'll design another piece, and they'll make this a collectible charm bracelet series. So over maybe a year and a half, 2 years, their 10-piece collectible charm bracelet will be set. So when they purchase the first one, then they're kind of locked in for the rest of the pieces because it's a 10-piece collectible charm bracelet series. So we can do everything. So she wants yellow gold, she wants diamonds and everything like this. So our relationships that we're developing, these aren't one-offs. Okay, we are developing long-lasting relationships with their organization, with the National Council for Negro Women. We're doing the same thing for them. So we're on their website. and we actually launched the business in October, um, down here in Baltimore, Maryland, at the Baltimore Convention Center. That they were there for like 3 days, and so Miss Lou Willard came down as well, and so that was a nice event for her. Miss Lou, in the past, when she was in the jewelry business, she didn't market the way that I have to market, okay? Because Michael Jackson, he introduced her to Ray Charles, let's say, okay? So Ray Charles introduced her to someone else, right? To the Temptations. And so at that time, Miss Lou Willard, all she had to do was just answer the phone, okay, and she had a customer on the line, okay. But I don't know all of these, stars and celebrities today. So I have to do market the way that we're doing it in the 21st century. So we have to do events. I got to get on the phone, and so we have to go to these events. And so Miss Lou had a wonderful time down here in Baltimore, with the National Council for Negro Women. And so I had introduced her to everybody, for those 3 days. And so it was wonderful. So we're getting about, and Ms. Lou is getting about and doing her thing. So a lot of these events that we go to, Ms. Lou is going to be there handing out the jewelry and conversing with the individuals, because she's 85 years old. She's history herself. Okay.
Yeah, which is
And,
what I was saying.
yeah.
Matter of fact, she just texted me and told me that, she wasn't feeling that well, but
Right.
but and for those, because I see a lot, the Harlem Tourism Board will have a networking meeting this coming Wednesday, the
Yes.
19th, from 6:30 to 8 at the Harlem Renaissance Hotel. And you can go to goharlem.org or go to the Urbanology. Miss Lucille Willard said that she's going to try to make it because she's going to be in the
Yes.
city.
Yeah.
But we will talk a little bit about the trip to Ghana, which is in December
Okay.
2025. Gary and I will probably be going, maybe sooner
Yeah.
than
We have
that.
to. Yeah. We
Yeah,
got.
in
Yeah.
order to do some things. But the
Yeah.
important component here is that the way things are in America and in the world, I would suppose, one of the last major resources for precious minerals is in Africa. And
Yes.
everybody is there except for us.
Right.
And when I took Gary around, uh, he was just like coming off Welcome Home.
Right.
People were so happy to be
Yes.
able to be a part of some sort of African. I always say that I'm an African that's born in America rather than
Right.
African American, but nevertheless, to be able to come full circle with our own people, to be able
Yes.
to not only help them, but they can help us as it relates to creating
Yes.
that type of wealth. And that's what we're going to have to do. The way things are going, many of us, those who are in the diaspora, are going to have to begin to look at our home. We might not know what it is based on what took place, but you can easily find that out now, as I did, going to many of the ancestor programs that allow for you to find out exactly which country you came from. But the way things go, even with me in particular, which if you go to places like Ghana, they will you're like family there.
Right.
They will welcome you
Yes.
in open arms, which is a beautiful thing. The culture, and for a first time visitor, Gary,
Right.
I could see how impressed you were with the
Absolutely.
kindness and the night and
Yes.
how people were.
Right.
And it's a lot of business opportunities
Yes.
in many different areas.
Yes.
The Shea Butters, we were in the village where they were doing the trading, and we saw a lot of it is on the internet. We were in a village
Yes.
that seemed like it had not been touched by the colonial
Right.
brainwashing. I mean, they were doing things that they were doing, I'm sure, 200 or 300 years ago,
Yes.
in the way it was trading. Matter of fact, as far as medicines, Tango had wanted something for his stomach, so the woman pulled out some stuff for her stomach, and it's interesting. One of the things that I say to people is that it's funny. There are people who dress and look like they are Africans, and they are Africans, but they've
Yes.
never been to Africa.
Right.
And until you actually go, especially to a place like Ghana, I've been to Ivory Coast, I've been to Senegal, have some business opportunities that I was able to take advantage of in Senegal. But for some reason, there was something about Ghana that captured me, you know.
Yes. Yes.
And I think you felt that
Oh, Tony, this without question, and that was the first time in my adult life. See, because when you're a little child, you don't feel when you're 9 years old, 8 years old, you don't know all of the unfortunately racism that we have in this country. Okay, until you get a little older and a little wiser. But when I was in Ghana, that was the first time in my adult life that I didn't feel racism. Because you can feel racism in the air when you're in the United States. Okay, when you out and about. Okay, I didn't feel that in Ghana.
Well, again, I think my next article is going to be about this. I've been talking about it so much. I consider myself an African that was born in America rather than an African American. And the reason for that is if you say that you're African American, your lineage goes back to 500 years, you know.
Yes.
Even though some say that we were here before Columbus, but that's another story. But if you say that you're an African who was born in America, just like a Chinese who was born in America, or a Japanese who was born in America, you have a whole from the beginning of mankind. And for young people, that's a different type of a situation, but it's still talk until you actually go and see it,
Yes.
feel it. And that's why with Gary, I was always amazed when bringing people to whether it's Senegal or Africa to see how it feels when you step off that plane.
Yes.
And understand that you're home. You have a home.
Yes.
And people, unfortunately, and you made it clear in some of your statements, have been brainwashed
Yes.
and full of negative thoughts
Yes.
and never really think about going to Africa for a vacation or
Right.
doing things like that. And for the same way that you go to the Caribbean, and that's great, you know, and a lot of that's home for some people, but we're all Africans. And so, again, if people are interested in our trip to Ghana in December, we'll have information posted probably by next week on the goharlem.org site. You can always send an email to urbanologysystems at gmail.com or, again, goharlem.org. And if you're interested in doing things around Black History Month, your organization and groups, and you want to talk to Gary Jones, tell people again how they can reach you, Gary.
Okay, I'm at hbcuyouamazing.com. My email address is nycjconnection@yahoo.com.
Okay, and again, that's
YCJ Connection
Connections
at yahoo.com. And if anybody is interested in, any of our jewelry connections, of course, they can go to hbcuyouamazing.com. If anyone is interested in investing in our gold export pipeline from Ghana to New York City, our buyers okay, definitely give us a call. Should I give out my number or just the
Sure.
email address? Okay, my telephone number, you can reach me directly for investors who want us to send out this investor slide deck. Okay, my telephone number is 919-618-0992. And this is
You
an
want to repeat
alternative.
that one more time?
Okay, 919-618-0992. So we have to think outside of the box. We invest in real estate, we invest in the stock market. We have to invest in gold because gold is a commodity that's getting traded all over the world. And in the last 40 years, the gold has risen 568% in the last 5 years. Okay, that 1 ounce bar has risen 83%. And so this is an opportunity for all of us to get involved because we can't be on the fence here. Okay.
And Ghana has actually uh, beat South Africa and many other countries as far as being a major gold producer.
Yes, it's fourth in the
That just
world.
came out. Yeah,
Yes, it's fourth in the world. So there's major, major opportunities there. So I just want to just leave you with this. What you are investing in our relationships with our own buyers. Okay. When I'm in New York, I can go to them, I can have lunch with them. These are major, well financed buyers. And in this business, if you have well financed buyers to buy your product, you're home free. So we're going to be sourcing the gold from Ghana and then shipping it directly through to New York to our buyers. So that's what you're investing in, a relationship that we have with our buyers for about 47 years, 50 years, and 2 years respectively.
And as relates to the Harlem Tourism Board, again, we're taking a group. We're probably between 20 and 30 people because there's so much to
Right.
do. But that information will the travel package will be out um, before the end of this month. We will, as I said before, have a show dedicated to Ghana, speaking with Tango from Ghana on
Right.
next week, as well as a brother Martin Glenn, who is also interesting. What you haven't met Martin? I think he's going to be there in March. Hopefully, if we
Okay.
get there in March, we can.
Right.
Martin is from Alabama,
Okay.
but
Right.
Martin, he's a farmer. But
Okay.
they are well connected. His father, C.D. Glenn, is the CEO of PepsiCo, the foundation. So,
Wow. Okay.
but he's now a chief. They gave him land.
Wow.
He's developing land as relates to for homes for African and Caribbean Americans who want to come to the north, as well as farming to help the people, which is what is important. The people like you, Gary, and like Martin, who are going to Ghana, they're not going to take the money out. They're
Right.
going obviously to make money, but they're going to help
Give back.
improve, especially in the north, because the
Yes.
north is, if you watch the movie, the Woman King, of how they were fierce fighters, and they, that was why the north became. They put it to the side because they couldn't go up there. They couldn't take things out, so
Right.
they didn't they put all of the money in Accra, but all over Ghana, which we haven't seen. I mean, you haven't seen based on this our limited focus
Yes.
to the north, but Accra in and of itself is beautiful with beaches and there's some interesting. Trails and there's just like in Senegal, Gorée Island, there are places that from historic standpoint you'll be able to see. But the important thing again is Gary. I am so happy to have had the opportunity to
Thank you.
introduce you to my second home, Ghana.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's yours.
Yes, I appreciate that. Yes.
Because Gary was starting looking like, well, I can get an apartment here, and I can,
Right. Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to allow for people to understand that we have a home. You know, before the pandemic, actually, Ghana had a program that was allowing for African and Caribbean Americans who are interested to do a dual citizenship. And a lot of us are starting to look at doing that,
Yes.
you know, also as it relates to doing that based on having some business opportunities and all those other things. But there's a lot of things that have taken place just in 2025, you know, especially with some of the things that we're doing. So again, Gary Jones, I appreciate you, brother. I'm glad that I've met you because
Likewise.
you know, because it looks like 2025 is going to be a really, really
Absolutely.
good
Absolutely.
year. You
On
know,
on both fronts.
on
The
both
jewelry
fronts.
side,
And
right.
and not only for us, one of the things I've always loved was the fact that you can be able to do things that can help yourself, but it also will help others.
Right.
And I think this will be the one that we can do. So
Yes.
again, thank you. I'll send this to Miss Lou. Hopefully,
Okay.
if you guys are able to, listeners, if you're in New York and you want to come to the Harlem Tourism Board meeting, just tell them that you saw it on Urbanology Systems, and you can. It's from 6:30 to 8 at the Harlem Renaissance Marriott Hotel on 125th Street on Wednesday the 19th.
Okay.
You can send an email to urbanologysystems@gmail.com if you want more information, and you have Gary's information. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate
Thank you.
And
All right.
we'll be seeing you soon.
Okay, see you soon.
Take care.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. And that pretty much is it for today for our show. Again, Black History Month is all of the time. And I learned that from my grandfather, who was a cousin. He was a Woodson, Joe Woodson. He was a cousin of Carter Woodson. So for a very long time, well, at least from about 1 year old until it's time for me to go to school, I was in South Carolina. And that helped shape my understanding of life. But now we're coming full circle. So next week we'll be talking to Africa, thanks to Soul City, and we'll be talking to some others who can give you an understanding about our trip in December 2025. Take care. Hope all is well with you. Stay warm if you can, and we'll see you next week.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.